that too, but I mean, that's a provocative discussion
so
is what we
great.
call making love. So,
I totally
you want
win.
to go have a provocative discussion? By the way.
Sure. Are we webcams this time, or what?
Man, let's call it. But, God, what was I going to say?
Oh, that was so
More about
funny.
Yoast. I think, Yoast is slang for,
They're totally feeding my
I looked
egocentrism
it up on Urban Dictionary.
and my narcissism.
I think the word you're looking for is a Fantikerz, also known as a poofter.
Yeah, fuck Max for doing that.
That was me.
That was you? Why do you take credit?
He didn't. I signed up for an account under his name.
You cuck. But then I talked to... I confronted him like twice about, like, why is my name in Urban Dictionary, and why does it say that under the, you know, the caption, or the as the definition? And he's like, oh, ha, I'm brilliant, aren't I? Herp the...
Yo.
Yeah.
He's protecting you.
I went out of my way to...
What?
just
I was
go
gonna
into
high five.
that.
Well, I high fived him, and then I told him he was a cock,
Oh,
and I removed him from
now.
Yeah.
He didn't give me
No,
a
I'm just kidding. Well,
Wait, did they know that we were gonna
I just hide behind
they
Dave,
forgot
because if
about
everyone
that.
just hates him, then I'm fine. I can be the evil genius behind the scenes. It works perfectly.
Let's not tell them.
anyway. God, I'm so glad those people up there could... Like, if they were to... I mean, like, the shitstorm, if they were recording it.
Okay, job.
I'm just glad that they can never get into the channel I go in.
Basically,
I prefer just being separate for them. Like, it's not that I feel superior, it's just I simply am. And, you know, being able to go into a different... Yeah, exactly. Being able to go into a different channel where I don't have to talk to any of them, it's... Not only is it arousing, it's just... It makes me feel better. It helps me sleep at night, knowing that while I'm not, you know, I'm not as numerous, I am more attractive and things of that nature, you know.
Or
You know how it is.
Exactly. Do you hear that? Is that... Probably just the wind.
What? No, I think that was the cat next door. I don't know, it screeches at asinine hours.
So
What a
are they
retarded cat.
broadcasting to every channel or just this one?
Well, I mean, just because the cat is of lesser intelligence doesn't mean it's retarded. It just means it's a lesser being.
Yeah.
What about
Sure.
Lop?
Here loading.
I think Lobby might work.
We should conduct all our conversations like this, so just everyone... What?
How'd you get to broadcast?
Oh, whoops. I think I was global chatting
Oh, no.
for the last few seconds. Hold on.
He thinks.
Yeah, good thing I was...
They are doing global.
Can you imagine?
That would have been embarrassing, but it's okay. Yeah, I turned it off now. They can't hear me.
You're so great at vent. Like, you're a vent wizard.
I'm pretty much a hacksaw. I have level 99
Pretty much
vent.
such amazing whenever... Yeah. Yes, I do.
Poffy is totally missing out. You have no idea.
Yeah.
God, don't you hate RuneScape? Isn't it funny just
comment? I'm like,
Whoa, hold on a second.
pretending you like the game? Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, they turned it. But that's hilarious.
Yeah. That's sad.
So what are you doing this weekend?
Something weird happened. They just like went straight back to
As in tomorrow.
There's still glow with you?
Well, I was figuring, you know, I'd wake up around 2 p.m. like I normally do.
if they get annoying, you can just right click.
At the gym?
Get up,
Kidnap a
brush my
child.
teeth, kidnap, yeah, any sort of molestation. Goats, maybe. Primarily goats. But, get my hair cut. I was thinking, there's actually, in Georgia, just in the South in general, you either have to be, you either have to be in a current sexual relationship with either your second or first cousin, or you have to have a mullet. I don't think there are laws anymore.
Maybe.
It's mostly just that.
I'll get a log.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Are
One day
you?
they plan
I think I
on
have to
upgrading the
I'll get it.
the hairstyle
Yes.
for law-abiding citizens, but right now you pretty much have to do either those two things.
I love you that
And while I don't disagree with mullets, they just don't look great on me. I prefer either having my head shaved or having just long hair.
It was
And
funny
it's
when
actually
my
been a
makeup
while,
man cooked.
because I remember this one
One of
time
my friends was
when me and my
selling
friend,
manufactured
we were
art
playing
supplies.
basketball, but it was in like this
Chef's
big
hats
jungle.
for 5K apiece.
And so there weren't any
Should be
basketball
selling right
hoops
now.
or really any
selling at the
ground. It was
store?
mostly just slopes. So every single time you try and dribble the ball, it would just roll down the hill. And so
the
it became an issue that whenever we were playing
is like
basketball or
22.
kickball, we'd have to play, like if you're playing kickball, the bases would have to be downhill from the
Well, I got
pitcher,
like 27 off
so
there.
that when you kicked it and you kicked it uphill, he would be able to catch it still. But the problem came from, it didn't really matter how high you kicked the ball, because he was uphill. And so like if I kicked it up 10 feet in my perspective and he was up, 20 feet up the hill, normally the incline made it such that he was like 20 or 30 feet above me, so that the ball would just burrow into the sand. And when you're on dunes, because it was a beach when you're on the dunes, it just becomes difficult because of there's baby turtles. The mama turtles like go up the dunes and they lay eggs behind them, and so then the baby turtles climb over the dunes, and you're not really supposed to play kickball on them. I don't know, there's signs up everywhere. I don't know if you're allowed to play like stickball or dodgeball or anything like that, but I know you're not supposed to play kickball. Yeah, and I imagine it's because of the baby turtles. But so yeah, we're on the dunes, and there's trees everywhere, and it's pretty warm. There's jungles are humid, so the humidity was just the aggravating part of it. So we were trying to play kickball, but I remember this one guy came over to us and started yelling at us for being on the dunes. So we had to quickly get off, ran into the ocean, and so we were just swimming around with the kickball. And it was tough to try and, you couldn't hold the ball underwater because obviously it was full of air and it would float. So we tried to fill it full of rocks and sand, but there wasn't very much sand everywhere. We couldn't find enough sand to fill the ball with, so we were putting rocks and like clams and stuff like baby turtles and stuff like that in it, but it still wouldn't really float well. So we tried to go find those big yoga balls. They're like big balls, and you're supposed to like bounce on them, and they look really sexual. Well, we tried to play tetherball with that, but we couldn't find a tall enough pole because the pole we were using was only like 2 feet tall, and the ball was about that size. So we connected the cable to the ball and to the pole, but it was still floating in the water because the chain wasn't long enough. So we tried and find a longer chain, and we started walking just aimlessly trying to find chain, and ended up just in the middle of the jungle, like lost from where we were originally. And there was this cool tree fort though. So we tried to, you know how like you can reach around a tree and grab onto their arms and then pull yourself up the tree? Well, we did that all the way up, so it wasn't too far. It was like, I don't know, it was like 40 or 50 feet up the tree. So we finally made it up to the tree and realized there was a ladder on the tree trunk. So we laughed about that, but it didn't really matter. So we finally got up into the tree house, and it turns out it wasn't really a tree house as much as just like a tree. There was no house up in it. I don't really know why we thought there was a fort in it. It was probably just the mushrooms we had eaten. But I had said it was not going to be a good idea to eat the mushrooms, but Jeremy thought that they'd be safe to eat because they're like really bright purple and had a yellow, what do you call them? Yellow, not caps, but the shaft, I guess, the stalks, whatever they're called.
Did
And
what goes on in that channel?
That was highly interesting.
But so the purple mushrooms, we ate those, and so we had climbed up the tree, found out it was just a regular tree, and I decided to slide down the trunk, and Jeremy disappeared because apparently he had never been there to begin with. He was just in my imagination. So then I realized I was just sitting on my bed, just staring at my wall, and I'd never been on the beach,
did it actually happen?
and that the jungle had been a figment of my imagination. So I walked downstairs to try and find some clams to eat, and it turned out that there weren't any. So I got a glass of milk and was drinking my milk, sitting there thinking about where the jungle was. And I kind of figured out that I could just go walk in my into my backyard, because there's forests behind it, and try and find the beach that we had been on playing dodgeball. So I walked out back, and there wasn't really any sort of signs or obvious directions written on any of the trees to find the beach. So I figured I just had to find it myself. So I started walking just straight back from my house, and I figured out that the forests are only about 30 feet deep. Oh no, a little more than that. They're like 100 and some feet to the back of the other house. Like my house backs up to another house that backs up to my house. And the only way to walk, for a while in the forest is to walk perpendicular to my house. And so by that time, my suspenders had gotten all loose. So I had to walk all the way back to my house and get a new pair of suspenders. And so I got back into the forest and started walking back, and eventually got to this huge wall of just trees where you couldn't squeeze past the tree trunks because the trees were growing too close together. And if you tried to poke the trees, they wouldn't move, but they were soft, so you could kind of pull, like dig at them. And so I was digging at the trees for a while, and I found some more mushrooms, but I didn't eat these ones because they were talking, and you're not supposed to accept candy from strangers, So I just kept going, and finally ended up in my one friend's house, a couple blocks from my house, and it's like 3 or 4 blocks from my house, and I don't know, it had taken me like 4 or 5 hours, so I was pretty thirsty by then. So I went into his backyard and started drinking out of his hose, and then I figured out that his back door was open, and I hadn't seen him, in a couple of years, so I figured I'd go say hi. So I just let myself into the back door. I went into the kitchen and was snacking because I was kind of hungry. So the next thing I remember was waking up in his living room to some random old lady who was shouting at me to get out of her house. And I don't know, it wasn't my friend's mom or his sister. She was some lady I'd never seen before, so I don't know what she was doing in his house. So I decided to call him later and come back a couple hours later, So I left and ended up all the way across town somehow. I don't know. And figured, I'd either have to find somewhere to sleep or try and find like a taxi or a bobcat or something like that to ride home. So I knew there was some construction going on near where I was. So I walked over there, and it was about 3 or 4 a.m. by now, so I figured that they weren't going to be doing construction at that hour. So I walked over and tried to find one of those big Deer Park, John Deere rather, not Deer Park. I did want some water, but the John Deere tractor is what I was mainly looking for, and I couldn't really find it. So what I ended up having to do is get one of those front loaders and sleep in it, into the big the bucket on the front of it, the digging part. I had to sleep in that for a couple days. So yeah, it was cool, but it was tough because every time I would wake up, I'd be hungry, so I'd have to sneak around and steal food out of the construction workers' lunch boxes. And a couple times they caught me, and they kept digging holes and then just putting me in them. Like, not too bad, like 15 or 20 feet down. But it was tough because every time I'd have to dig my way out. And so by the end of that week, doing that over and over, my fingernails were all dirty. So I figured I'd try and go home and wash my fingernails before I went back and got more food. So I ended up walking all the way home. It was only like 15 or 20 miles, so I made it home eventually. And got back to my bathroom and started washing my fingernails. But I realized that I had left my baseball cap back at the construction site. So I went up to my room and found some more of the Jesus water I'd been drinking that had been giving me weird visions.
Hold on, man. Hold on. Bo Burnham is doing an AMA on Reddit.
To the interwebs.
Sorry, big here. I'll make
What the hell just happened?
Did it say Bober?
Someone's doing something and now they're like
Yeah, they stopped their
going to find him.
No, did they just say
He's
Bober?
Bo